And I am going to share a little bit today about Space City Fellowship Group, which was a new program that City Church launched last year, and I had the privilege to participate in it as one of the initial members. And so about a week ago, Clint reached out to me and asked me, he said, "Hey, Jonathan, would you mind sharing a little about your experience in the Space City Fellows program?" And I was like, "Oh, wow, yeah, absolutely, Clint, and I'm really, honored that you would ask me of all the people in the group. I mean," and he's like, "Well," sort of looked at me sheepishly and said, "Jonathan, the reason I asked you is because, the biggest pushback I get about this program is that people think it's really intellectually rigorous." And he goes, "I figured if people knew you made it through the program, then anyone can make it through." And he's right. So Clint is always right, unfortunately. But anyways, a little bit about if you're thinking about the program, what I would say is I really think it's structured that it's going to be relevant and beneficial for anyone, regardless of where you are in your spiritual journey. Two, and this is important, it is a decent amount of time commitment. I would say probably 3 to 5 hours of reading and preparation in between the bi-weekly meetings, important bi-weekly, not weekly. So you really need to have the time to put into it. And then third, if you do join a couple weeks before the first meeting, Clint, being the professor that he is, will send you a detailed syllabus that lays out the entire year, what we're going to study, the resources, the books, the readings. Now, along with that syllabus will come a 1,000-page plus systematic theology book. And I remember when mine arrived, my wife Elise got it, and she walks over to me with this like phone book sized book and puts it on my lap and smirks and says, "Good luck with this." So I appreciate her confidence in me as well. But anyways, actually it's just a resource. You don't have to read all 1,000 pages. It's gonna be one of the many resources we use. So now if you do decide to join, which I'd highly encourage you to do, a couple things just to expect. One, the meetings aren't going to be Clint and Andrew White, who was one of the fellows who's going to help Clint this year, lecturing. It's really, they're going to facilitate, they're going to maybe ask some pointed questions, but it really is going to be the participants that are driving the conversation, that are going deep. So it's going to be a very interactive program. Two, and this is probably one of my favorite parts, was that Clint was able to line up 4 or 5 guest speakers throughout the year. And these are like thought leaders in their respective space, and it tied to what we were currently studying, and we would get to do an 1.5-hour, 2-hour meeting with them where they would go through what discuss what they're learning and what they're talking about, and we'd get to have great interactive communication with them. So that was really neat. And then finally, I would say, this was actually the surprise to me, but we ended up developing really good community in our group, and we had a diverse group of age range, stage of life, backgrounds, and just really developed a sweet community. As a matter of fact, our last session, a couple of the fellows got real emotional as they shared just what a lifeline the program had been to them during what was a really dark period or a hard period of their life. So that in itself made it worth it. So anyways, I would highly encourage you to look into this. There is a QR code that you can scan that has an application, which is more just about, do you have the time? What are your interests? So they can assess and put that group together. And feel free to reach out to me after church or reach out to Clint or Andrew White if you want to learn more about the program. Thank you.